I'm Kitty from Kitty and Millie Comic Book. Well, actually, this is Kitty from the Kitty and Millie Comic Book. And we did a video on how to draw Kitty and Millie, so this time I'm going to show you how to colour one of them. Now, I've put in the block colours first because we all know how to, colour a block colour on a character. You just get your felt tips and you go crazy. But a lot of people I've talked to have said that when it comes to shading, that's where they have the difficulty. They can colour it in, but then when it comes to shadows, where do I put the shadows? Where do they go? Well, it's actually relatively simple, especially if you're not doing a character that's in some sort of dramatic lighting. So if you had like an adventure character or something with a torch, that'd be quite difficult because you've got to make sure you've got the light where the light source is hitting and then deep shadows where it's not. But a character like this, she's out in daylight, she's not really got any, the light's really everywhere, let's be honest. It's just a general drawing of a character. But if you do it like this, it looks boring and plain because we always have shadows on us, even in bright light situations. So, the best way to start is to start with my grey here, and this is for general shadows. So, for instance, if you think about it, I've already put a bit of black under the neck so that obviously you can wear a chin, because there's going to be shadow there, isn't there? And then just to enhance that a little bit, put a bit of grey around there. There's going to be shadow here, because obviously that's where her lapels go over. So a little bit of grey there underneath her lapels. Now there'll be shadow down the arm here because obviously that's not in the direct light. It's all about thinking where your light source is coming from. So obviously she's out in daylight, it's going to be coming from above. So as I say, a bit of shadow here because obviously the top of her arm is going to be getting the light. A little bit of shadow down the side because that's where her jacket's causing shadow. And then obviously a bit here as well. Same with this sleeve. A little bit around here. And then obviously a bit under the neck because obviously her face is casting shadow on that bit. Got a bit of shadow in there. Now, I don't know whether this grey's dark enough, but usually then go onto the trousers. Obviously shadow is going to be here because that's casting down from her body. Don't think this grey is actually dark enough. We'll soon find out when it dries. I do usually not use a darker grey on the trousers, I must admit. It's sort of showing up, isn't it? Now, if you see, I've stopped the colour just before it gets to the leg, which means that you leave a little bit of highlight. So we see the darker shadow is going to be at the far side of that. Makes logical sense. Obviously, that's where her legs are touching, so there's going to be shadow there. And then you just do a little bit of like a, sort of like a, shoes are usually do like a sort of curve shadow. So on that, it looks like that, but that's sort of the shape you're going for on the shoes. Most shadows, you just follow the contour of the garment or anything like that when you're doing it. So obviously the contour of the jacket, it sweeps round at the bottom here, so you've got a shadow there. The t-shirt's kind of the same, so you move the shadow out here, so it's got a contour on there. Hair's a little bit more tricky. Even I sometimes kind of go, it's hair, that'll be fine. So I tend to put the shadow nearer the face because quite often people have darker roots. So it makes sense. And I don't know, that's what I do. Again, follow the contour of the lines for the hair you've already drawn. So make sure that it flows with the hair. I've just gone onto the face, never mind. And again, this is where it's going to be overlapping, so a bit of shadow there. Going down, so be a bit of shadow there. Don't ask me why I'm putting up here, I've just decided to. Kind of works, doesn't it? Now, you can obviously add to that by using different colours. So if you wanted to make your green t-shirt more poppy, you can have a darker green, or in this case blue, to add a little bit more depth to the character's t-shirt. Again, follow the shadow lines you've already done. If you keep everything in the same sort of shape, even if you go wrong, it'll look like you knew what you were doing. A little bit there. And again, add a bit to the hair because the hair's the same colour. If you wanted to, depending on how you draw your characters and stuff, you can try and blend this sort of thing together because she's got two colours on her hair. So you can do like some lines to show that the hair kind of crosses together. We don't tend to in Kitty and Millie, but if you wanted to in your characters, do that. It's kind of cool. Right, so eyes. Sometimes you just put a little bit of colour there. That is too dark a blue. Yeah, it sort of works, doesn't it? Just a little bit of colour at the top to add a little bit of depth to the eyeball. And then a light grey. To add your depth to it. Maybe a little bit round the corner as well, actually. Right, now, faces are sometimes the one people have most difficulty with. The problem is we've all got different skin tones, different complexions, and quite often people struggle when it comes to the face and doing the shadows and stuff. That's normal. I still have trouble at times. I sometimes get it wrong, and sometimes I just have to scrap it, try again. It sort of follows the same rule as clothing and hair, with you've obviously got to make sure it's where your shadow goes, where you put the darker colours for the skin. I tend to have a sort of system that most of the time works. So I start with the mid colour. In this case, apparently it's an orange. Who knew? Well, it's not an orange, it's sort of a peach. And I go around where the shadows would be, so top of the eye. And quite often we have darker, we don't have darker, it looks darker around the side of people's faces. I think that's probably because of the way the light falls. So that's where I tend to base most of the shadowing, obviously near the hair, because the hair will be casting shadows. I tend to try and add depth by not putting the shadow all the way to the edge of the face, because this makes it look more three-dimensional, I've found. There we go, all the way around. Put a little bit under the mouth so that she's got depth to her mouth. Under the eyes, a little bit around the nose. These are all key areas, around the nose, around the eyes, around the side of the face. They're all the places where you're more likely to get your shadow. So that's your mid colour on. I'll put some on the ear as well, actually. Now, you can then start by going onto your paler colour or your darker colour. It doesn't really matter. I tend to do the paler colour first and then do the darker shadows last, because that's usually where I go wrong. Right, so basically exactly where you've been before, just fade it in to the rest with a paler colour. My marker pens are bleeding because they're not used to this paper. Due to marker pens bleeding, I usually work on card, which doesn't do this. Due to marker pens bleeding, Kitty's gone a bit goth. But it's fine, she can be a goth for today. Right, where's my brown? And again, right, so when you're doing the dark shadows, try not to go too over the top. Unless it's, as I say, you've got a dramatic scene where it's like shadows and everything. You don't want your shadows too dramatic, or they will, well, make it look like a goth, like we said before, actually. Right, so I tend to do like a little bit up the side. This was supposed to be brown, but it's apparently wine red. Okay, let's go with it. A little bit around the side to contour where the cheek is. Think of it like a makeup tutorial. Where would you put your contours if you were doing your makeup? I don't actually do contours, but, you know, if you were doing them, where would they go? They go around the face, around the side, underneath the eye there, a little bit at the top there, and a little bit around the nose. And if you want to, you can put a bit of shadow underneath the mouth. But as I say, don't go over the top, otherwise it will look a bit weird. She'll look like she's got face paint on. Right, so that's the face done. Basically filling the same sort of thing on the hands. Hands and the rest of the body. Well, not the rest of the body because we can't see the rest of it, but filling the rest on the hands. Same rule applies. The shadows will be where the fingers are crossing, so make sure you get the shadows on there. Shadow under the neck. And given we've already used the wine red, we'll go with wine red again. A little bit of shadow there, bit of shadow there, bit near the palm. She's looking a bit more three-dimensional. Oh, but she really wants that ice cream, don't you think? So, we'll give it a nice yellow cone. I say yellow, the markers are bleeding again. I'm not used to the shiny paper. So it's sort of yellow cone. Use the same orange for my shadows. And of course, a wonderful pink for the ice cream. Because I love strawberry ice cream. It's like strawberry and mint chocolate, the best flavours. God, that is a very strawberry ice cream. I'll give her a pink tongue too. There we go. Character all coloured and draw, looking three-dimensional and beautiful. Yeah, so you can use this sort of technique with anything like, I've used marker pens. If you're an adult using marker pens, please put something underneath. Don't stain your table. You can use it with felt tips. You use pencil crayons. I would say if using pencil crayons, one of the best techniques is to crosshatch. Like that sort of idea, because that adds a bit more depth to your drawings and makes it look textured and pretty. And if you're using these pens, which are artist drawing pens that you can get off like Amazon or somewhere, just literally type in artist drawing pens and you'll get these sort of alcohol pens, which are supposed to be like this. They don't leave the marks like the other pens. Be warned, they go through paper. So again, put something underneath if you're colouring with these. They really do go right through to the other side. So you don't want to stain anything. You might get in trouble with someone else. Yeah, and that's basically it. So that's how you do a colouring thing. If you want to show me your drawings, that you've obviously watched both videos and you've done an amazing piece of artwork from it, then send them to Kitty and Millie. We'd love to see them. Thank you for watching and bye!